Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're just going to talk about some financial stuff. So I'm going to tell you guys about credit cards and whether you should get a credit card if you come here as a student or if you're basically a newcomer to Canada. Do you need a credit card or should you get one, and how it works here? And I'm just going to talk everything about credit cards. So that's going to be this video, and before that please do like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to press the bell icon so you get press and post more videos. So let's not wait, we'll go to the video. So the common question whenever it comes to a credit card is basically whether you need one or not. So the answer is basically both. I think about credit cards here is it's very useful and it's very convenient here, and basically everyone uses it here. It's very common. And basically before moving into anything, like I'm just gonna tell in brief about like what a credit card is, because I'm pretty sure like not everyone knows about credit cards. Someone wouldn't have used it, like because I was someone who never used a credit card when I came to Canada. A credit card is basically some kind of a credit which the bank gives you based on your credit information and your credit worthiness. So based on your credit history basically. So let's say like for example $1,000, and you can use that $1,000 to purchase stuff using your credit card. And basically you have anything you spend on the credit card. Let's say you spent $100 and anything you spend for that month, you have 21 days to pay it back. If you don't pay that $100 within the 21 days, there's going to be an interest on that from the next month. Common interest rate like between like almost like most of the credit cards, it's like 20.99, so just like 21%, which is a really high interest. And if at all you pay that $100 within that 21 days, you're not going to pay any interest. It's basically like you spend now and then you pay later. That's the basic concept of a credit card. But if you go beyond the 21 days, you're going to pay back with interest. So it's basically like a loan, but in the form of a card and with a higher interest rate. So that's the basic explanation of a credit card. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the advantages and the disadvantages of having a credit card and using a credit card. And after that, I'm just going to tell you guys whether you should get one or it's not something for you. So let's go into the advantages now. So when it comes to Canada, everything basically runs on something called credit score and your SIN number. So your SIN number is basically like a PAN number. So it's called social insurance number. So it basically has every part of your credit history, what you have done here. So your employment, your credit, your financial stuff, all those things get stored in under that number. So if anyone puts up that number, they're going to get your entire history. So that is one side, and the other side is your credit score. So credit score is basically based on what you have borrowed from the banks or from anyone. You're going to have a score based on how often you pay back your balance and how good are you in maintaining the balances, and do you have any over limits? Are you spending too much? Or based on so many factors like that, they're gonna give you a score. Each person has a score, and that is basically what considered as like a benchmark whenever you apply for any loan or credit card or whatever it is. So credit score is very important here, and you will basically need a credit score from the time you land in Canada. Obviously when you are new in Canada, you won't have a credit score because you never worked here or borrowed anything here, but it's gonna start from the time you apply for a SIM card. Like even applying for a SIM card or buying a phone. So let's say you're going to buy an iPhone on contract. So they're going to do a credit check for that. And from that time, there will be a credit history starting on your name, under your name, and that will basically build up. So what happens is your credit score will be basically useful from buying a phone to buying a house. So throughout this thing, like wherever you go to borrow something, like they're gonna ask for a credit score, they're gonna do a credit check. So and every time they do a credit check, your score is gonna go down a little bit, but it usually comes back. That's the reason why you shouldn't apply for too many credit cards or too many things around like the same time. So every time they do a check, anyone does a check on your report, it's gonna go down a little bit. Why I'm talking about this credit score is because having a credit card or using a credit card is very useful to build up your credit score. So when you come here as an international student or like a PR or any form of a newcomer, the basic thing is to open a bank account. So whenever you open a bank account, most of the banks here right now, they have something called a newcomer offer. So I'll put the links down in the description. Like I'll also put some links to sign up. So if you're someone who's new to Canada and who's looking to open a bank account or something, you can find the links below and you can go through that and open an account. And most of these banks with the newcomer offers, they give a credit card along with it. So Even if you don't have a credit history in Canada, they're going to give you a credit card because you're a newcomer. That's like an offer every bank has right now, and that's a very good way to get a credit card. And because once you get a credit card, a credit file is going to be created under your name, and that gets basically built up as you live in Canada. So you just spend everything on a credit card and pay it back, spend it, pay it back. So every time you pay back a balance, it's going to be recorded as, you're paying your balance. So that's a good point in your credit score. So that's like the first advantage of a credit card, is to build up your credit score and establish a credit in Canada. Because if you are planning to settle in Canada, like after working and getting a PR and all that, you will definitely need a good credit score, moving forward and creating a family and buying a car, buying a house. Like, you need your credit score for everything. So your first credit card will be the most useful card you have here. Do not close your first credit card whenever you get it. So the longest you have an account open, that's also a good point with your credit report. So that's like the first advantage. And the second advantage is basically more protection for your money in your account. Let's say you're a full-time worker and you get your salary into your account. That's going to stay in that, and maybe you put some of it into your savings account. So your money stays in your checking and savings account. So let's say you use your debit card for everything. So let's say you're doing an online purchase, and by mistake you go into some kind of a not legit sites, and maybe you do a online purchase, and they just get your card information and they just keep withdrawing money from it. So when you put in the details of your debit card there, you're basically giving access to your entire funds which you have in your bank account. So if at all they do transactions for like $1,000, they do like fraudulent transactions, the time you spend or the effort you put to get your money back from the bank is like a lot. On the other hand, if you use a credit card for online purchases or for any purchases, in that case, if you give your credit card details, or if you do the transaction with the credit card, first thing is it's not your money, and second thing is every credit card is protected by an insurance, and it's basically the responsibility of a bank to resolve that issue. So let's say you spend $1,000 on some site and basically they didn't deliver your product, so you want a refund. You go to that website and you don't even see the website, so they close the website and basically you lost $1,000. So if something like that happens, all you have to do with the credit card is call the bank and just tell them that I did this and basically I want a refund now, and I'm not getting a refund. So basically that site was a fraud site and I lost $1,000. So what the bank will do is basically block your card first, and then they will send it to an investigation department and will try to get the funds back. If at all they couldn't do it, they will just cancel your card and send you a new card. So that's it. You're just going to get a fresh card. So you don't really have to worry about paying back the $1,000 to the bank, because it's not your problem. Credit cards are easier to like hack, but there's not much of a liability for you as a consumer. So if you do the same thing with a debit card, you just lose $1,000 from your bank account, and to reverse that money, you need to literally contact the customer care and talk to them, and it's gonna take them like weeks to track it, and it's just like too much of work. And most cases, like, you can't really say whether you will get your money back. Bank will try to investigate and reverse the money, but if they couldn't do it, every bank account is insured up to like certain amount of dollars, so they have to go through that insurance which the bank has for each account and do a claim and do all those things. It's gonna take weeks for you to get that $1,000 back. So basically that's the main reason why you should use a credit card whenever you do it for any online transactions, or even like paying it in store, basically everywhere. So it's basically more protection for your money, and it's just basically less liability on your side. And the third one is kind of similar to the second one. If you use a credit card for transactions, you're gonna get perks and rewards. So basically when you use a debit card, you don't usually get any like points or rewards or whatever. But if you use a credit card, depending on the type of the card, you get reward points or you get cash back, which you can again use it for getting something, buying something, or suppose if you have a travel card, you get travel points, you can use that for your flight ticket. So this is like when it comes to the type of credit cards, like there's like a huge number of credit cards like Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and there's like cashback cards, travel cards, business cards, and low interest cards. Like there's just like way too many credit cards out there. So I have to literally do like a separate video on which is like the best card for newcomers to Canada. So I will definitely do that video, but that'll be like a separate video. I will tell you guys like which card to apply, which card is like the easiest to apply, and which card has less fees and which gives like more benefits when you spend. I'll do everything in a separate video. Whenever you do any transaction on a credit card, you're gonna get points or you're gonna get cash back, which you can use it for later for anything, And those are the advantages of a credit card. And now coming to the disadvantages. The first disadvantage, probably you would have heard it like somewhere, like anywhere, someone would have told you that 4 letters, debt. So debt is the most major disadvantage of a credit card. This is more of a mental thing than a financial thing. Obviously, having a credit card might tempt you to spend more and might get you into a lot of debt. So that happens for a lot of people. It has happened to me too. There's a high chance you will go into debt if you don't know how to manage money and how to spend and then pay it back. If you don't manage that properly, there's a high chance you might get into debt. And obviously we all have desires to buy stuff and to get stuff, so a credit card gives like the easy route to do that, but there's something called a very high interest rate behind that. Second thing is like paying off a credit card debt is like very, very hard, because the interest rate is like 21%, which is like the highest interest rate you will pay anywhere, like compared to like other financial products, like little be a loan or some kind of any kind of a borrowing thing. A credit card has like the highest interest rate among all these things. So paying like 21% interest, and then like if at all you spend more than what you earn and you rack up like a debt of like $10,000, $20,000 on a credit card, it's gonna be really hard to pay off unless you save up like a bulk of an amount and pay it like in huge chunks. That's the only way to pay a credit card debt, and it's gonna give like mental stress and all those things. If at all you go into debt, just make sure that you at least pay the minimum amount. I didn't mention it in the previous thing, but a minimum amount is basically whenever you spend, if for example you spend $100 within that 21 days, if at all you couldn't pay that $100, you can pay a minimum amount. So the minimum amount is usually like 2% of your balance. So if you spend $100, you're gonna pay $2. Anything less than $10, you're gonna pay $10, and anything above that, let's say you have $1,000 balance and you have to pay 2% minimum payment, it's gonna be $20. If you couldn't pay that $1,000 within that 21 days, you have to at least pay that $20. If you fail to do that, if you fail to pay that minimum payment like twice in a year, your interest rate is gonna go up from 21% to 25% for the next 1 year, and they're gonna literally track your card for the next 12 months to see that whether you are making the minimum payment for the next 12 months. And if you pay that minimum payment for the next 12 months, then they're going to reduce the interest rate again back to 21%. It's something like that's really unwanted, because 21 is already high and 25 we don't really need that. So paying $20 is not a huge deal. If you couldn't pay $1,000, just pay the 2% minimum payment. That's gonna save you from even more higher interest rate. So those are disadvantages. Like, it's gonna tempt you to spend more. There's a high chance you might get into debt, and it's really hard to pay off a credit card balance. And because of all these things, it might affect your credit score too. So if you hold a huge balance, if you hold huge debt in a credit card or in general, that's gonna keep hitting your credit score, and your credit score is not gonna go up after a point unless you pay that down. And one of the major factors is you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your available credit. It makes advantage when you kind of hold multiple credit cards, because it kind of happens on your overall credit limit. So let's say if you have 5 credit cards each with like $1,000 balance, so you can spend 30% of $5,000, not 30% of $1,000 each. It's going to be calculated on your whole credit. So you can have a higher balance on one credit card, but you don't have any balance on a second credit card. So that's going to tally out, that's going to get compensated. So, but if you hold only one credit card, that's going to be a kind of a harder thing, because you can only spend it's not like you can only spend. The healthier, the good amount to spend is always 30%. You should always keep your debt below 30%. So for $1,000 credit card, you should always keep your balance below $300. Your credit score basically won't go beyond a point unless you bring it down below 30%. So now that we have seen everything, like what is a credit card and how you can use it, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of it, I'm just gonna come to the final thing and say like whether you should get one or is it something that's for you. So basically, if you ask me, my personal opinion is that I recommend everyone to get a credit card, especially if you're a newcomer here. Definitely get a credit card. Do not, if the bank is offering a credit card for you like by themselves, whenever you open your first bank account, like just get it. You will learn to use it. Obviously you might go into a little bit of debt in the beginning if you hadn't used a credit card before, but you will learn it eventually. And a credit score is the most important thing here, if you're gonna borrow something. And I'm pretty sure like almost all of us will borrow something or the other at any point in our lives. So a credit score is very, very important, and it's good to always have a credit score here, and it's good to build that as you live here. And a credit card will be like very, very helpful for that if you manage it, and if you know how to do the things around the credit card, how to pay it and everything. No matter how you come, there are offers out there, and I'll put the links in the description. But I will post another video on which banks are good here and where you can open an account, and which bank gives like more offers. It's basically a competition and it's a business, right? So I will obviously do another video on banks and bank accounts too. So that's pretty much it, guys. So that is my opinion, and I really want to talk about a lot of financial stuff moving forward, because I didn't have much knowledge when I came here, and no one actually told me about financial stuff and banking and all those things. I just learned it myself. And I see like there's not a lot of information on YouTube too about these things. I'm going to concentrate more on that now, and I think it'll be useful for people who's landing here new and who's new here. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this video was useful, and if it was useful, please do like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Also don't forget to press the bell icon so you get updates when I post more videos. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys in another video. Till then, it's Manish. Bye bye.